It's the second week of August, and the oats are beginning to ripen. But it's been raining all month. If this continues, it could flatten the crop, making it impossible to harvest.
Here's the final drawing now, Peter.
The weather vane's progressing well, but the copper work forms only part of it. The cockerel must be attached to a support, so it can rotate freely in the wind.
And this is what we've got to focus on now, so we need quite a bit of iron.
Yeah.
And some charcoal will be useful.
Right.
For forging the iron.
What will the charcoal do?
It puts some carbon content into the iron.
Yeah.
And it also gets a really good heat, because we're going to have these billets of iron we've got to forge right out into the section size. So if we've got more heat in the fire,
yeah,
that'd be ideal.
Perfect.
Simon wants to make iron for the weather vane in the traditional way. To do this, he'll need large quantities of charcoal. Making charcoal was a craft that was disappearing from the Edwardian countryside.
This is where that knot is.
So Ruth and Peter have come to get help from Colin Richards and Mick Krupa, experts in rural crafts.
Those directions must have been pretty good.
This is the site of the charcoal burn then?
Yes, it's flat, easy to get the wood to it, and once we've cleared a space, taken away all this leaf mould, we can start building the clamp.
Colin's chosen a site well away from any trees. Once the ground is cleared, they can build a charcoal fire, or clamp, starting with the chimney.
Right, we're running out of rope, Peter.
I do have my belt, my
You
goat
can't
rope.
burn that. Your trousers will fall down.
It's in a good cause, Ruth. The ultimate sacrifice. Thank you very much, Peter. You will not go unrewarded. It's very good string, is this?
Next, the raw material for making charcoal, seasoned oak, is stacked tightly round the chimney.
This process of making charcoal, what are we actually doing to the wood?
Well, the wood is made up of cellulose and minerals that you see the trees around you, they suck from the earth. And those items are quite flammable, they're volatile.
Right.
So in the process of making charcoal, what we do to start with is burn those off. And then once we've burnt them off, we try and stop the burning process. That's when we starve the clamp of oxygen, leaving ourselves with pure carbon.
By driving off the cellulose and minerals, the logs will contain just carbon. This is charcoal and will burn at a much higher temperature than wood.
This is a key moment now because we're going to cover it all up and set fire to it. And then, apart from controlling the air, there's not much we can do.
Enclosing the wood in a soil and straw layer makes the flow of air into the fire easily controllable.
All we've got is 2 tons of soil, so we've got to be really careful with it. All we need is a thin layer to cover the whole of the clamp. There you go, second ingredient for your mud pie.
Oh,
there you
lovely.
go. Not too much, just a slight dampening.
Okay.
Now it's time to light it.
There we go, that's perfect, a few embers. What we're trying to do is get the fire going and then slow it down so that it's a cold fire. And so you get a lot more chemicals in the wood actually occupying the smoke, and that's why it's important not to breathe it in.
So I suppose you need fuel, heat and oxygen to make a fire.
Yeah.
And we're reducing the oxygen,
Yeah.
which reduces the heat, which preserves some of the fuel, which will be charcoal in the end, I suppose.
Yeah.
As the fire in here heats up, it's obviously everything's starting to shrink as it dries out and the moisture's driven off. So this outside layer of mud is cracking, and where the cracks appear, smoke starts coming out, and that's a bad thing because that means air can get in. So we've just got to keep covering all these little smoke holes so that we can control our fire.
We're now getting sort of heat into the clamp, and what we're burning off there are the gases.
Colin's watching the clamp closely, looking for signs that the cellulose and minerals have burnt off. Then he blocks off the chimney to restrict the air, slowing the burn.
We're bridging over the clamp now with these timbers so that we can put a covering on which will actually choke the fire.
The fire must smoulder for 5 days and nights until the wood has completely carbonised into charcoal. The team are here for the long haul, so it's time to set up a sturdy shelter.
I think that's in now, Peter.
Cool, can you hang off a bit?
Let's see if we can hang off it. Oh.
Can I get a bunk down?
Get up. Sorry. Get up, Elbow.
We're going the other way now, Peter. Right. Right, well, it's certainly strong enough to take the canvas, I think. And now we've got our ridge pole up, just putting a canvas over, and this is going to be our shelter for the next 5 days as we watch and tend the charcoal clamp.
This is how charcoal burners would have lived, moving from site to site through the woods. And, you know, it was permanent occupation, and there are many accounts of people raising, you know, sort of about 8 kids in a shelter no bigger than this.
You don't often get a chance to build a camp at my age, so I always love getting out in the sticks, properly living under canvas.
As night falls and they settle into life on the camp, it's time for some sustenance.
Devon pot cake. It's cheap, it's filling, and it's really easy to do on a fire. Flour with some fat rubbed in as if it was pastry. And then I'll be adding some eggs and milk. And then whatever fruit you can find, and cook it in a pot. This is a real cooking in the woods sort of a recipe, this is. Tinkers and gypsies and charcoal burners.
Next, trout, cooked on a shovel.
Look at that, instant sear. A piece of Devon pot cake.
Ooh, thank you very much. Delicious.
I know it's got fruit on it, it's not really pudding. Do you want fish with it? This is the clean shovel.
Not the dung shovel.
Not the dung shovel.
Wunderbar.
Trouty. There we go. Bit of fish.
Thank you.
Delicious, Ruth.
Could you ask for more?
Look, we're very close to the end of the year. How are we going to go out? Are we going to go out with a bang or a whimper?
Whimper.
Look, you may cry yourself to sleep every night, Peter, but some of us want to do something to mark the end of our year. What do you think we should do?
What, like a fete or something?
Yeah, a big fete. All the latest equipment they would have had in the Edwardian period. The future.
Where are we? Yeah, the future.
Edwardian summer fetes were usually held after the harvest, when farmers had money in their pockets. Village fairs and agricultural shows weren't just about having fun. They were also a place where salesmen could show off the very latest advances in farming technology. At the forge, Simon's working day and night to get the copper cockerel finished. So far, it's taken him 120 hours.
This is the most rewarding bit for me. The finishing touches, the detail. Yeah, you can actually looks like Sonny now.
Back at the camp, Colin's preparing to make iron for the weather vane. To do this, he's building a primitive furnace.
In the Edwardian period, there was a great shortage of iron, and in this area, a number of skills survived into the modern age. You had iron ore, and if you wanted iron, you could actually make it in what is essentially a very primitive furnace.
Quite an ancient technology, but I mean, was this still going on in the Edwardian period?
Well, in these rural areas, skills survived for generations beyond which they were almost obsolete or extinct in the cities, because what you didn't have quite often was money. And if you had the raw materials, which they had down here, then you could always get yourself out of a fix.
Iron is found naturally in a rock called iron ore. To extract the metal from the ore, it must be heated in the furnace to 1,200 degrees Celsius. To achieve this, they must burn the charcoal.
This is the acid test. 5 days, 4 nights without sleep. And, you know, we need to know whether we got good charcoal.
Digging through the layer of straw and soil, the charcoal is revealed.
First couple of pieces, right? This is what we've been looking for all that time.
Wow.
Oak that is burnt right through and is pure carbon. Black gold.
Black gold.
Yeah.
Gently done
Lid up.
Oh, whoa. And that's the iron ore going in.
Yeah.
Right, that's the raw material, yeah?
That's right, yeah.
What exactly is going on in there now?
Well, we've got the iron ore, which is fusing together. But we need that last little boost to get it up to temperature, to get it up, you know, 1,000, 1,200 degrees, so that we've got a workable bloom of iron.
To make the charcoal burn even hotter, air is blown into the furnace using Edwardian bellows, a back-breaking job that falls to Peter. Simon's come to the camp to supervise the iron making. While the furnace gets up to temperature, he's got something to show them.
There's a lot of hours gone into it, and with Peter's help, this is what we've come up with.
Wow.
I made the tea.
Oh my word, look at that. That is amazing, Simon, how you've got that relief there.
God, it's so thick as well. I mean, it's not like a thin sort of
No,
foil
yeah.
of metal. That's really chunky.
I can see the wind catching this and catching the feathers. And
Yeah, the feathers are just going to be like sails of a boat.
So he crows into the wind.
He crows into the wind, which is going to help us tell which way the wind's blowing and what weather's going to come for our harvest. So,
Right, yeah.
excellent.
Next, I need the iron, guys, for the pivot
Yeah.
after the copper, the arms for the letters for the north, south, east, west,
Yeah, yeah.
and then some lovely graceful scrolls to support
lovely.
those arms.
Inside the furnace, the charcoal's been burning for 10 hours, raising the temperature of the iron to melting point.
You can see, you know, the heat that's needed to get it to this stage.
I can feel the heat.
Yeah.
And here the raw.
And you see our charcoal glow.
Yes.
Now the molten iron must be extracted, using the most basic of methods.
Simon, what
Yeah,
we're
well,
doing.
basically, one at a time, but gentle blows.
Peter leads.
Okay.
In theory, the molten metal inside the ore should all stick together like toffee, while the waste material, known as slag, breaks away. But it soon becomes clear there's something not quite right.
So, run us through what just happened there.
It's just crumbling. There's not enough pureness in there, is there?
At the moment, we'd be hard pushed to make a type in.
Colin thinks the iron ore wasn't hot enough, so it's back in the furnace to get it even hotter.
What sort of pressure should I be putting on these tongs?
Just keep them.
Now that is just a completely different material. It's a lot spongier, isn't it?
Kind of like getting the good bits to stick together.
Right.
That's stuck
And it's
together a little
working,
bit.
isn't it? Look, it's
Yeah.
working. Essentially, we've taken a raw material from the hillside. Having done this burn, we've produced enough charcoal then to reduce that raw material to a workable and malleable material in itself
that's
that
right.
we'll be able to use for this weather vane.
That's right. Once we've actually got all of the waste product out of this,
Yeah.
then we can actually forge it into any shape that we need.
Now they've worked out the method, they must produce enough for the weather vane. Back at the forge, Simon's worked the iron into rods. Now he's using the charcoal to heat it, ready to make the support for the weather vane.
And how's this charcoal doing?
It's really good. No,
Yeah?
we're getting the heat quick in there. Obviously, we've had to break the charcoal down quite a bit because it's quite, big chunks.
I mean, is charcoal good for working metal?
Yeah, very good. You don't need much air going into the fire, not so much as you do for coal or coke, but you can get the heat in very quickly with charcoal. Now we just got to get on with the scroll now. And we just start to curve it off the edge of the anvil. And I'm brushing it with a hammer.
Brushing it. It's
Just gently brushing it down.
really thin metal.
And then, that's it, knocking it towards me. And then just gently elevate.